All right. We good now? Hello, hello, hello. Okay, what I was saying is I just had a slew of technical difficulties, so I'm improvising a little bit, but it's going to be a really good show. Um major bust in Florida. Okay, we're good now. You're not deaf. It was me. I muted myself. But now we're good. Major Trende Aragua bust in Florida. Keep in mind, Florida is a red state. So if Florida is a red state and Florida is known for cracking down on illegal immigration, so the fact that they are present in Florida should show you that they're probably everywhere. And Ron DeSantis actually put a law into legislation which enables his highway patrol and local law enforcement to enforce immigration. So typically, immigration is something only the federal government enforces. This is why you didn't see a lot of local sheriffs cracking down on this the past 4 years in the Biden administration. But what Ron DeSantis did is he passed something into legislation which basically deputized his local law enforcement, especially highway patrol, enabling them to pick up people solely based on illegal immigration. So this is what's happening. It's starting to be extremely successful. And what he said was, we have so many people that came in our country that if it's just ICE doing this, there's just simply not enough manpower to get as many people out of the country as we need to get out of the country. So that's why he's enabled his local law enforcement to help with this. Um, he tweeted this out yesterday. So this was Ron DeSantis yesterday. So he said, FDLE and Florida Highway Patrol troopers in participation with Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, Homeland Security Task Force Orlando, today arrested a known Tren de Aragua gang member. This first arrest conducted in the nation under the Alien Enemies Act, according to HSI. This individual is a wanted human trafficker and smuggler. Once again, Florida leads the way. So, the Alien Enemies Act was actually passed in the 1700s, and technically it was supposed to be passed in a time of war. And what this means is they can deport people without the individual seeing an immigration judge. So, they can find these people and deport them right away. And the reasoning for this act is obviously other countries that are enemies sending people to our country. So that's what it is. And that's why it's typically been used in a time of war. But President Trump's justification for this is, well, yes, this is sort of unprecedented what we're doing, but allowing 20 million people into our country in 4 years was an invasion. And you could say that was an act of war. And when you have Tren de Aragua, one of the most dangerous criminal gangs that are known for spreading all over Latin America. They're known for human trafficking. They're known for femicide. Um, when you have that, something like this is necessary. So that's the justification for it. And I have a feeling a lot of these people are going to be sent to CCOT. CCOT is that mega prison in El Salvador. And that's where I'm looking up for you. So it's the Terrorism Confinement Center, and Donald Trump has declared, I believe he declared Tren de Aragua a terrorist organization. Yep. Okay. So Trump designated Tren de Aragua a terrorist organization. So his the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua is a designated foreign terrorist organization with thousands of members, many of whom have unlawfully infiltrated the United States and are conducting irregular warfare and undertaking hostile actions in the United States. TDA operates in construction and in conjunction with Cartel de los Soles, and Nicolas Maduro regime sponsors narco-terrorism enterprise based in Venezuela and commits brutal crimes, including murders, kidnappings, extortion, and human, drug, and weapons trafficking. TDA has engaged and continues to engage in mass illegal immigration into the United States to further its objective of harming the United States citizen, undermining public safety, and supporting the Maduro regime's goal of destabilizing democratic nations in the Americas, including the United States. Now, many people are saying the government of Venezuela actually sent some of these individuals here, and I actually think that's true. So back in September of 2023, there was a huge prison raid in Venezuela in which the Venezuelan government basically raided the prison and dismantled. So this particular prison was taken over by Tren de Aragua. And they did this prison bust. They took 1,000 troops into the prison. They busted the prison, raided the prison, shut down the prison, and then some of these, and there were Tren de Aragua gang members within the prison. Some of these prisoners or some of these high-level Tren de Aragua members went missing, and local media reports were saying that they thought that this was corrupt, that this was actually a negotiation between the government, Maduro-led government, and the prison. They think what happened was the Venezuelan government basically negotiated with TDA and said, hey, we're going to do this prison raid. We're going to say that we completely dismantled you, and maybe we'll look this way, and then you go that way, get the hell out of our country. And then we're going to say, yay, look at us. We're the heroes. We totally dismantled. And before we get into this press conference in Florida, let me just read you. So this was a CNN article that came out in September of 2023 in which they were talking about this prison raid. So this is what I suspect happened. I suspect that this was corrupt, that it was a negotiation, and the Venezuelan government, knowing full well how open our borders were, took advantage of that. There's even speculation they could have possibly worked with the Biden administration. I have no idea if that's true. Trump has sort of hinted that something like that could possibly be true. But let me just read you a little bit of this article, and then we'll go into this press conference. So it says Venezuela's Interior Minister Remigio Cabellas said the operation, by the way, the operation I'm speaking of is the prison raid where they dismantled the prison. So let's see, Remigio Cabellas said the operation was a complete success. During the media tour on Saturday, Cabellos announced 80 high-ranking members of Tren de Aragua gang, this is in Venezuela, by the way, had been detained by security forces following a takeover of the prison. Cabellos denied media reports that the government negotiated with gang leaders before the operation, and he said, "We completely dismantled the leadership of the so-called Tren de Aragua. They are gone." Oh, really? Where'd they go? And here's further proof that this could have possibly been corrupt or a negotiation, because you had family members of some of the inmates in this prison wondering what happened. So one woman said, "I haven't seen or heard anything since this whole thing started on Wednesday." The sister of an inmate from the Tocaron prison, that's the prison they took over, she said, "I came yesterday and today and nobody says anything. While it's not uncommon for gangs to run prisons in Venezuela, the Tocaron penitentiary was notorious inside the country and in recent years had become a symbol of the Venezuelan government's inability to remain control. The Tren de Aragua is Venezuela's most powerful criminal group. In recent years, it has expanded operations to Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Argentina, according to the U.S. State Department. So you can see how if this prison is basically a symbol of how the government does not have control over their own country, you can clearly see how there would be incentive for the Venezuelan government to do something a little shisty and to say, hey, look, the U.S. is open. You get out of the country. You go somewhere else and let us blah. And if you remember also, when Trump started talking about deporting people back to their home countries, it was Maduro himself that said, we're not taking them back. Of course he doesn't want to take them back. Who wants to take dangerous criminals back? But he said, we're not taking them back. And then obviously Trump gave him the strong arm and he was like, okay, we'll take them back now. So that's what happened. Okay, actually, one more thing before we go into this press conference, and I'm so sorry. Like I told you, I had some technical difficulties, so we're gonna do, but it'll still be good. I had every technical difficulty you could possibly imagine uploading or trying to put this live together. Okay, so before we move on, so remember, Tren de Aragua was designated by President Trump as a terrorist organization, okay? And we already had several plane loads of deportees arrive in El Salvador in the terrorist prison in CCOT. So CCOT is the Terrorism Confinement Center. It's the Centro de Terrorism. It's the Terrorism Confinement Center. The Terrorism Confinement Center in you can go undercover with Trendy. I'm not going. Heck no. I'll get some face tats. How about that? But so CCOT is where, if you remember, it wasn't last weekend. I think it was the weekend before. Do you remember that those planes were leaving with deportees and that district federal judge ordered for them to be returned mid-air? Well, they didn't return. They landed in El Salvador. So President Trump, or the Trump administration, is working with the president of El Salvador, and they're basically paying. They worked out a deal so we can send some of our deportees there, and we signed a deal for a year, and basically we're paying $20,000 per head per year for them to house our deportees in their prison, which is super cheap for us and a really good deal for Venezuela, or not Venezuela. It's super cheap for us and a really good deal for El Salvador, because if we keep them in our prisons, that's $50,000 a year, but we're paying them $20,000. And let me give you a little taste of where they're going. So this individual that they just arrested in Florida, it is very, very possible that this is exactly where he's going to be headed, or they're going to be headed. This is where we're going. It's no joke. All right, here's one more video and then we'll get into
for the rest of their life. CCOT was built in El Salvador in 2023 as part of a new strategy to incarcerate the most violent gang members, and it's working because the country has never been safer. The individuals responsible for most of the violent crime are here. The lights in the prison are never turned off. Inmates don't even get a pillow or mattress to sleep on. They have only a bed sheet and will sleep on cold metal bunks for the rest of their lives. Privacy doesn't exist here, with only 2 toilets per unit and no entertainment. All they can do is sit and think about the horrific crimes that led them there. They are allowed to stand outside the bars for 30 minutes each day to stretch, but that's the only freedom they have.
Yep, so that's what we're sending people. It's the terrorist confinement center. All right, let's get into this press conference. Again, I'm so sorry we had technical difficulties. Sound will be good though. And you'll be able to see it. I'll put it closer to the screen. Freaking living in the dang country.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming. First of all, I want to thank the Florida Highway Patrol.
Excuse me. Meh. Alrighty.
Being such a great partner. Law enforcement partnership is the key to immigration work and protecting this nation. Also want to thank President Donald Trump. More importantly, I want to thank Secretary Noem for her continued support. I have the privilege to serve one of the finest Secretaries of Homeland Security. She is dedicated to ensuring that American communities are safe. These 287G partnerships with local agencies like the Florida Highway Patrol help us fight terrorism on U.S. soil. These partnerships help us target high-level criminal organizations. We can't do this alone. Without the men and women in uniform across our nation, ICE wouldn't be able to do their job. Counterterrorism operations and arrests are part of ICE's national security mission. With that, Trinidad and Tobago is a dangerous foreign terrorist organization that has invaded our soil. TDA has infiltrated the U.S. through the northern border, southern border, in our waterways. Some TDA terrorist rap sheets and their criminal histories are extremely extensive. Many of these members are cold-blooded killers, rapists, thieves, drug traffickers, weapons traffickers, and human traffickers. They're accused of the most heinous crimes committed inside our neighborhoods and communities. They have been running loose in the United States. TDA uses drug trafficking as a weapon against American citizens. TDA has authorized its members to attack and kill U.S. law enforcement officers.
Yep.
Arresting terrorists is dangerous. Well, what's more dangerous is allowing them to run free in our neighborhoods and terrorize U.S. citizens and our children. We cannot and we will not accept their brutality. This month, to the work of the Department of Homeland Security and President Trump, we have designated TDA a top priority and a top network of criminal activity for our organization. TDA members aren't stupid. They don't wear uniforms like the men and women here, or they just announce their stuff like, hey, here I am. They're out there. They're sophisticated and they hide their crimes. But today, I'm here to let everyone know that we are more sophisticated. We have more resources than ever to find them and get rid of them from the United States. Since the past 40, on March 15th, the president invoked the Alien Aliens Act. Our officers have risked their lives every day to ensure that we are going after these foreign terrorist networks in our communities. I'm proud to say in the past 48 hours, ICE, along with our local partners and our other fellow federal agencies, have arrested more than 68 TDA gang members,
Wow.
terrorists, in the United States. To date, we've arrested 394 of these terrorists. Our goal is to eradicate TDA from U.S. soil. We will not tolerate their illegal presence or the threat they pose to the American public. What I would ask for the public to do is go and see these terrorist faces on ICE's social media page, whether it be X, Facebook, or Instagram. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the
Hi,
Executive
Danielle.
Director of the Florida Highway Patrol.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Director. It's an honor to be here with you today. You have outstanding special agents and officers as part of your ICE agency. It's been an honor to work with them. I'm joined also here by Colonel Gary L. Howes of the Florida Highway Patrol and Assistant Commissioner Lee Massey of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. And we could not ask for a better partnership as we work to enforce the directives of President Trump and Governor DeSantis. At Governor DeSantis' direction, the Florida Highway Patrol and all state law enforcement have been fully engaged in interior illegal immigration enforcement, detention, and removal operations. We have worked 24/7 with our partners at ICE since Governor DeSantis' directive. We have participated in hundreds of operations and efforts to identify and detain criminal, dangerous, illegal immigrants, and we have taken into custody members of the Trinidad and Tobago MS-13
He said
and
that was
Brother
funny.
Circle, which is a criminal gang out of Uzbekistan, along with child rapists, sexual traffickers, and human smugglers. As Director Lyons previously stated, the state troopers participated in the first arrest under the Title 50 Alien Invasion Act. A core component of state law enforcement's ability to amplify the federal government and ICE's ability to execute on large-scale enforcement and deportation efforts is deputizing state and local law enforcement officers as immigration enforcement officers. This is commonly known as 287G. I'm pleased to announce that the Florida Highway Patrol continues to lead the nation, now with over 1,100 state troopers who have completed the required training and will soon be delegated law enforcement authority as delegated immigration officers. Director Lyons, on behalf of Governor DeSantis, we want you to know that you have, and you will continue to have, in the Florida Highway Patrol and in all of state law enforcement, a highly committed and professionally trained law enforcement partner. And we're proud of the work of this partnership, that it's already done. And we're focused on what we can continue to accomplish into the future in the space of immigration enforcement. It's my honor and pleasure to invite to the podium Colonel Gary L. Howes, the second of the Florida Highway Patrol. Sir.
Thank you, Director. Your Florida State Troopers are proud to serve under the leadership of Governor DeSantis through our Executive Director, Dave Kerner, in providing for a law and order state in line with President Trump's executive actions. In Florida, our law enforcement officers, and especially your state troopers, are laser focused on keeping the residents and visitors of the free state of Florida safe. We're not just talk, we're focused on results. Our troopers have daily contact with criminal illegal aliens from around the world, as well as other illegal aliens that are either directly or indirectly fostering illicit activities and or providing financial benefits to various transnational criminal organizations. Just this year, troopers in coordination with ICE have detained and or arrested over 130 illegal aliens, to include members of criminal organizations such as TDA, MS-13, the Latin Kings, Brothers Circle, and various others representing 14 different countries. This past Wednesday here in Orange County, troopers stopped and arrested a member of TDA as part of the Alien Invasion Act of Title 50, as the Executive Director mentioned. In short, we are focused on removing dangerous criminals, whatever their immigration status is, out of the population of the beautiful state of Florida. We're proud of our partnership with ICE and our various federal partners. I'd like to turn the microphone over to Special Agent in charge of the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Lee Massey.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you all for being here. And on behalf of Commissioner Glass, I just want to echo the words from the director. We are part of a state initiative working with our FHP, our other state partners, and our local law enforcement to continue the mission set forth by Governor DeSantis and the President of the United States. I'm very proud of what we've done at FDLE. We've committed resources, both sworn and non-sworn, across the state, embedded with task forces with HSI from the Panhandle to South Florida. We also would like to thank the remainder of the cabinet and the state legislature for the funding they've offered in support of this initiative. We will continue to work with our state partners and our local law enforcement partners to carry out this mission. Ultimately, the end goal is to make the state of Florida a safe place for our citizens as well as our visitors, and remove the criminal element of these illegal aliens. I think we've done a fantastic job, and I think we've set the example for the entire nation as to how state, local law enforcement can work with our federal partners. There's no I in this team. It's all about we, and it's about the mission. So I'm proud to serve Commissioner Glass, Governor DeSantis, the entire cabinet, and work with FDLE to continue helping in this initiative. So with that, I'm going to turn it over back over to Director Lyons for some closing words.
Sure. So I'd just like to say,
echo the words that have been said here. We're going to continue to partner with ICE. We're going to continue to partner with the state. And our main goal at the Orange County Sheriff's Office, like everyone else up here, is to get these violent gang members that are terrorizing our communities off of our streets and out of the state of Florida and out of the country. We continue to see that they have committed violence in our communities, including extorting people. So we are all committed to this in partnership with ICE and the state and all the local firms. We're all working together as one team to get this done. I'll turn it back over to the director. I just want to say thank you, everyone, for coming out here today. I appreciate the opportunity to let you know what the great work the men and women of ICE do every day. It's an honor to have the opportunity to speak on their behalf, because for so long, their mission and what they did every day, putting themselves at risk, went unnoticed. But with President Trump, and under the outstanding guidance and leadership of Secretary Noem, you now have an organization that's dedicated and willing to put their lives at risk to go and take care of these public safety threats and these terrorists that are roaming our neighborhoods. The men and women behind me make it easier for us every day because we have that strong partnership. With that, I'd just like to say thank you. That's it.
Cool. Woo! And there you have it. Looking for agua. Jeez. And just to update you on a previous story too. Here, let me pull it up because do you guys remember Lake and Riley? So there's an update with Lake and Riley. So, they were some of the first to be deported under the Illegal Alien Invasion Act. And that basically means they don't get to go to trial. They don't get an immigration lawyer. They just go bye-bye. And a lot of these guys are being sent to El Salvador to CCOT, which is the Terrorism Confinement Center. It's a super duper heavy duty maximum security mega prison. And President Trump did a deal with the president of El Salvador, Bukele, which so they have a year-long program, which I would imagine might even be expanded after a year. But the United States is paying the president El Salvador $20,000 per year to house some of our deportees, which sounds like a lot, but that's actually really cheap for us. It's a lot for them, but it's cheap for us. If we were to house them in our own prisons, then that would be about $50,000 per year. But there was an update with Lake and Riley. If you guys remember Laken, let me see if I can pull up my screen share. There we go. Okay, so you guys remember Lake and Riley. Well, the roommate of Jose Ibarra, that is the man who killed Laken. So his two roommates and brothers and roommate of Lake and Riley, they're being deported. So two brothers of the Venezuelan man who killed Georgia nursing student Lake and Riley will be deported along with their former roommate after they pleaded guilty to possessing fake green cards. Jose Ibarra, 27, was convicted in November of murder and other crimes in Lake and Riley's killing and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in case that became a flashpoint over immigration. His brother, Diego Ibarra, 29, was taken into custody after he gave a counterfeit green card to a police officer investigating the February 2024 killing. Another brother, Argenis Ibarra, 25, and the former roommate, Rosbelly Flores Bello, 29, admitted to having fake green cards, and agents found counterfeit social security cards for them in the apartment they shared with Diego and Jose Ibarra, the department added. Diego Ibarra was sentenced Wednesday to 4 years in federal prison after pleading guilty in July to 2 counts of possessing a fraudulent document. He is to be transferred to the custody of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, for deportation after he completes his sentence. Argenis, I don't know, sorry. and Flores Bello each were sentenced Wednesday to time served after pleading guilty in December to 1 count of possessing a fraudulent document. They were to be immediately turned over to ICE for deportation, according to the news release. Federal authorities said they believe that Diego Ibarra is affiliated with the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua based on his multiple tattoos and social media photos of him making signs and wearing clothes associated with the gang. So this is a really big deal. And this gang is a big deal. They're no joke. And let me see. Dems, Congress, gonna just see Dems Congress gonna just clandestine. I can't talk right now. USAID gain of corruption and communism, Neo Geo fund them back to the states again. You know what's so funny? The Babylon Bee. They're obviously a parody. They're a satirical newspaper. After the astronauts were brought home, they came out with a headline, satire, but the headline was a federal judge has ordered the astronauts to be returned to outer space. It said the federal judge come to find the federal judge ruled that Donald Trump does not have constitutional power to bring astronauts home from outer space. So he is ruling that they need to be returned immediately. It's just wild. It is wild how they are fighting so hard to keep some of the worst people. And the thing is, there's a term in Latin America. It's called femicide. And the difference between the gangs that we're used to in the United States and something like Tren de Aragua is typically our gangs, they kind of keep to themselves. They sort of just fight amongst each other. Yes, there's a lot of gang violence and a lot of innocent people. And that doesn't make it any less tragic. Someone, let's say, like being hit by a stray bullet in a drive-by, that's no less tragic. That is a life lost, and it's angering and frustrating of unnecessary violence. Yes, but the difference is with Tren de Aragua, they actually target innocent Americans. They're known for commandeering buildings and commandeering places, just like they did in Aurora, Colorado. They're known for trafficking. They're known for organized crime. Again, all of it is against innocent people. And there's a term that is familiar with a lot of people in Latin America, but is kind of foreign to us here in the USA. It's called femicide. Femicide. They do femicide. They have no respect for women. They have no respect for human life, and they just kill willy-nilly for no reason. They're just crimes of opportunity, just like what happened with Laken Riley. She was just on a jog, minding her own business, and she was targeted just because she was there. Same with, sweet little Jocelyn Nungery. I believe those 2 individuals were suspected members of Tren de Aragua, also targeted an innocent little 12-year-old. Assaulted her for 2 hours, hogtied her, and threw her in the bayou. So these are the sort of crimes that these individuals commit. And you have Democrats that are fighting to keep them in our country. Like, if you would have told me that this was going to be the political landscape 10 years ago, I would have said you're out of your mind. And this is a result of what I like to call political brain rot. People are so hyper partisan. They have lost their way. They're out of alignment. And now they are fighting to keep evil in our country. Which is wild that this is where we are now. But that's it. So good on Florida. I do believe Ron DeSantis is right. This is Florida leading the way. This is how you do it, because yeah, ICE is they're going out and getting people, but there's too many people here. They're not going to be able to do it by themselves. They need local law enforcement to be able to be deputized and trained to pick people up on illegal immigration. So typically local law enforcement, they're not allowed to arrest somebody or solely based on immigration status. They have to commit another crime. So they can, if okay, so let's say you're here illegally and you commit a crime. They can take you into jail for that crime that you commit, but they cannot prosecute you for simply being here illegally. Only federal agents can do that. So that's where you see in these sanctuary states, people are just being let out. They're being let out. They're being let out because local law enforcement does not have that authority. But under that loophole that Ron DeSantis used and passing his law into legislation, he was able to deputize his highway patrol and local law enforcement to be able to pick people up solely on the basis of them not being here legally, which is amazing. I think every state should do that. Obviously, the blue states are not going to do that. They're fighting to keep them in the country and get them on the voter rolls as quickly as possible. But yeah, so Florida's leading the way. This is how it's done. And this goes to show you that every state could do this if they wanted to. Every single state could do this if they wanted to. So it's just a matter of will. Anyway, you all, that is actually everything for the live. I just wanted to share that update with you. I wanted to share what Florida is doing. I think it's great. The next live I'll announce far in advance. So I can plan it a little bit better, but thank you for joining. I think, again, I think this is great news. Florida's leading the way. Let's everyone do this. And yeah, just because it's a red state does not mean that there are not dangerous illegal immigrants in your state. I'm staying in a red state right now in Virginia, and we have a lot of problems in Virginia as well. You'll see news story after news story of people being picked up in Virginia. And one more thing before we go. If you look at the Center for Immigration Studies, they actually have an interactive map. And what's really concerning, what I discovered when I was looking at this map, so it's an interactive sanctuary map, and it will tell you every sanctuary jurisdiction in the country. So if it's a sanctuary state, it'll tell you sanctuary county, sanctuary city. And guess what else they have? They have sanctuary jails. They have sanctuary jails. Sometimes the jails just themselves are deciding we're not going to cooperate with ICE. And they're doing that. And that is happening in Virginia. I don't know how much it's been happening since President Trump was elected, but it was happening. If you look on this map of interactive sanctuary jurisdiction, you'll see almost every single jail in the entire state either has limited or no cooperation with ICE, which is extremely frustrating because Virginia is a red state. But it's everywhere. Anyway, thank you guys for watching and have a really good weekend. I will see you later. If you didn't see the beginning, go ahead and watch it back. I had some good information at the beginning there and a little peek inside CCOT where I suspect maybe these individuals who are just arrested are going. So have a good weekend, you all, and I'll see you later. Bye. Bye, Danielle.